Hey, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing Resident Evil Revelations 2 on the PlayStation 4. I almost said Part 4 because I was thinking about the PlayStation 4. That's a great example of how I'm thinking about what I'm going to say later instead of focusing on what I'm saying now. This was originally released on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One as episodic content, kind of like the Telltale games. As you can see, it says episode select. This is the physical disc release because I have a bad habit of well, I used to. I've gotten better at this. So I have a bad habit of being impatient and downloading this episodic content. But to be honest with you, sometimes like beating one episode and anxiously awaiting like the next one, not knowing how long it's gonna be, it drives me crazy. And also having a digital copy versus a physical one, I'm gonna pick physical copy every single time just because yeah, the servers go down, something happens, you won't ever have it again. I like having a physical box with actual artwork on the box. I don't know. If anything, like I like having the box sometimes. If the artwork's good enough, I'll put it on display, you know. It almost feels more like an idea when, to me at least, when you have something digital. It's one of the things, like Steam has great sales on PC. I'm not much of a PC gamer. I usually reserve my PC for editing videos. I can actually play modern games for right now anyway on PC. My PC is good enough to do that. For how long it'll be able to do that is beyond me, but it edits videos just fine. And as I'm figuring out the different settings and stuff based on the recording device I have now, I'm getting better at giving you better quality videos, and I hope it really starts the show. Hopefully I can work on the commentary a bit too, but the last video or so I've been pretty happy with the video quality. But yeah, it's one of those things when they have the flash sales or the Steam sales or whatever on PC. They don't appeal to me much because I just like having the physical copy, and this is another one of these games that was episodic, and I waited for the physical copy to come out. To Capcom's credit, I believe you only had to wait like I think a month for every single episode to come out. I think a new episode came out each week, which is extremely rare. It also makes me feel like this game was probably already finished by the time the first episode released. Maybe they tinkered with it now and again. If it was more than a week, let me know. I didn't do any research. I'm actually doing this video in the morning as I wanted to put a video up because I haven't put one up in a long time. Well, a real one anyway. I shared some PlayStation 4 videos without commentary, and I told you that story about my grandmother and her little stuffed happy pill device that laughed when you squeezed it. Like, there's little tidbits like that I like to share. I try to leave different content on my channel for everybody. Or maybe just for me. I don't know. Maybe beside a few of you, I'm the only one that watches this. But anyway, this is a sequel to a 3DS game, which was called Resident Evil Revelations. Go figure. And they eventually released it on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and I think maybe even the PC. There's so many ports of PC games that kind of slip under the radar that are released that I'm not aware of. Since this isn't like a review or anything, I don't know how accurate my facts are. If I were to go and do a review, I would make sure that I brought all the correct facts, but since this is me basically shooting the shit with you, I'm just telling you all this stuff off the top of my head because that's kind of how I like the videos that I like to watch, which I went into in past videos. So, how do I feel about this game versus the first one? Well, it's interesting. I think the Revelations games try to harken back more to Resident Evil 4, where it's more action oriented and it controls more like a third person shooter, but not quite the amount of action like Resident Evil 5 and 6 have, which I actually am one of the few people like 6. I actually dislikes 5 more, but it's growing on me. I play it from time to time, and it grows on me the more that I play it. But my problem with all these newer Resident Evil games, Resident Evil the first Revelations was actually just a one-player game, but I feel like it's the publisher that's putting the pressure on these companies. But for a Resident Evil game, you don't need multiplayer. I guess it's nice that you have the co-op there, but co-op in a survival horror game to me kind of takes me out of it a bit, because part of survival horror, in my opinion, which is why I feel like the game The Evil Within was, I don't think it was scary, but it was a lot more creepy because you were on your own and having real life people with you. I almost feel like to me these games aren't really scary, but like I can pick up on what could be scary or what works, and I feel like the difference between a co-op survival horror game and one that you play by yourself is the same difference as going in the woods by yourself or going in the woods with a friend. I mean, it's still scary when you go by yourself somewhere that's creepy with a friend, but not nearly as creepy as going by yourself. You don't have that feeling of isolation. And I also don't like swapping items with real people. It stresses me out enough to do item resource management on my own. I don't want to drag other people with me. This is one player, of course, but then you come across this fact where you need the other person, so you have to switch back and forth between people for their unique abilities, and that becomes kind of a pain in the butt. I will, however, give this game credit that there is a local split screen co-op mode. This is on PC. I don't know if the PC version has split screen. That's not a feature you see often on PC games, but you do have local co-op for the console versions, at least for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
This would come in handy.
I don't know if the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 have it. I don't see why not. This also brings me to another little grievance I have, but it's not a big deal, but I wish the option was there. This game runs at 60 frames per second. You're not going to obviously see it in this video because I can't record 1080p at 60 frames per second with the current device that I have right now, and I don't have enough money to go out and afford a brand new spanking one just so the frame rate looks really good. If I did professional reviews and got paid for it, I do all my research, I'd get the proper recording device to give you 60 frames per second, I'd have the best editing software and all this other shit. But since I'm just being casual with you, it just seems, I don't know, it just seems like a lot of money that's wasted. And the point of my videos is more to talk to you and just play a game while I'm talking to you than actually giving you a play-by-play of the game. Because honestly, videos like that to me are boring if they're like 10 minutes or longer. Idealistically, if I did a review, I would try to keep it under 5 minutes. I tried a review back in the day. I believe it was Castlevania 3, the Japanese version, I think. No, I think it was American. I think I just did a video of the Japanese version, and the sound's pretty terrible. I probably should go back and do a proper video of the Japanese version of Castlevania 3. But that was one of my first videos, or earlier videos anyway, and it's probably best that you got to hear the music in the game over me, because part of the great appeal of Castlevania 3, the Japanese Famicom version, is that the music is way better than the American version. The American version's music is by no means bad, but you know, it's whatever. Yeah, there's a little jump scare. You don't see too many of those in Resident Evil anymore. But yeah, I really like this game. I never finished it. I really want to. I really want to finish the Resident Evil Origins collection, and I didn't even get to the point that I was getting at. That was sort of a gripe, that I wish the feature wasn't there thing. You might have remembered me saying that. And that is Resident Evil HD and Resident Evil Resident Evil 0 HD, and that are both games on the Origins collection for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Both run at 30 frames per second. Those are pre-rendered backgrounds with polygonal characters basically superimposed on them. They look a lot nicer than like the PlayStation 1. They are animated. They're almost like videos. And yeah, the PC version has a 60 frames per second feature. I don't think it makes a difference for the game, but it looks a little bit more fluid. Like sometimes on that setting on your TV, that adds the extra frames of animation, because most TV shows and film run at 24 frames per second. So when you add that mode, it makes it look fluid like video. The blood's really reflective and slimy looking in this game, which I think has a good effect. But yeah, that option's not in the console version for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and I don't understand why, because these character models, at least to me, look as detailed as the ones on the Resident Evil HD remasters, or whatever you want to call them, and the whole background's polygonal and not on a pre-rendered screen. So I don't understand why they didn't give us the option, unless they really felt like 30 frames was how they wanted the game to look. And I don't know, maybe they're scared of the PC gamer backlash. I don't know. I know the consoles have enough power to do 60 frames per second. I don't know if it was a rush job or they just wanted the original games to look more cinematic. This has a grain filter on it too, though, but the other games have a grain filter on it to make it look more like film. A grain filter is something I have issue with too. I wish games made that like optional, because some games have an aggressive grain filter on it, and to me it's sort of distracting, especially if you sit up close to the TV like I do. I have like a 65-inch TV, and my whole life I played sitting fairly close to a television set, because I mean it's psychological, but I feel like the farther I am away from the TV, I feel like there's almost like some lag. It's psychological, I know, but that's how I feel. I like to sit up really close. I like to be in front of like a fairly decent sized TV. When I was younger, of course, I didn't have the option.
He's over there.
65 inches is pretty large. I know it's not like as big as the biggest TV there is, but when you sit up close to it, it might as well be. And I like that immersion, but with the aggressive grain filter, it really kind of takes you out because it's all you see. You see spots and you're just curious like what the game looks like without the filter on it, like how clear everything is. But yeah, this game's a little bit difficult for me because I feel like the aiming feels a little bit loose. That might just be me. I'm wasting bullets here, but eventually I find out that it's better to use the old Resident Evil 4 technique. You shoot the people in the legs and then you shank the shit out of them. That seems to work. Later enemies, not gonna work as well. This is the first chapter. For you lovely people, I decided to restart my game. Plus, I haven't played this game in a long time, and then I wanted to go back and play the original chapter. So, you're welcome. Anyway, yeah, this game's good. There's options I miss, like being able to change your aiming reticule, the color. It'd be nice if you could change the shape. But yeah, I didn't see the option, but it could be there. I would like to lower the sensitivity of the aiming. It's hard, but you know, sorry, I have to say it, excuse me, but my voice cracked when I said hard. I should have said that's what she said. I almost feel like it's blasphemous not to say it anymore, even though it's like the oldest thing now to do, but I can't help it. But anyway, yeah, since this was a downloadable game, you don't really see the amount of detail that you would in probably a full-fledged Resident Evil release, but you know, it gets its point across. It looks nice. You might see me slowly rotating the camera around the characters and stuff like that, and that's because I was trying to see like how decent like the shadows are from the flashlight and the lighting. For some reason, Claire's shadow is off the way, or at least it looks off to me, the way it reflects. It's definitely there, but like when Moria, I believe that's what her name is. I have the sound down while I'm doing this commentary. And she's Barry Burton's daughter, by the way, if you didn't pick up on that. I believe she was in the one of the movies. Was it Degeneration? This isn't her first experience being in the Resident Evil universe, but yeah, these aren't zombies. These are like, they're almost like Cenobites, but without real powers or whatever. I used to follow the Resident Evil mythology and stuff like that, and the whole storyline, like where I knew everything about it. But with all these sequels and everything like that, I'm sort of lost. Like, what are zombies, what aren't? Because you have some games where the people just have like this parasitic disease thing living in them that basically controls their mind. Then you have zombies, and then you have these guys that are wrapped up in like barbed wire and shit, and they're just all crazy because they're in pain, and they have super strength and shit because all their endorphins are up. Your bracelets that you wear in this game actually show like your health status and stuff like that, or your emotional status, more or less. I really can't tell, like, but based on what I've read from like the game's little pamphlets and shit like that, they somehow show something, but I'm unfortunately colorblind, so I have to go by the little stains of blood on the corner of the screen that kind of show you what status they're in. I would love it if it went back to the original Resident Evil style, where it went from fine to caution to danger. That was perfect. Don't know why they need to change that. You don't have to change everything to make something new. You'll see that they just switched me to Moria. She has a flashlight. I can't imagine wanting to play as like the secondary characters. You also play as Barry. I can't remember what the girl's name is. I'm just gonna guess and say her name's Emily. If I'm right, brownie points for me. But she kind of points. Emily does the fine stuff, and Moria uses a flashlight. But the flashlight's a little bit more helpful because it actually stuns the bad guys, which probably works really well with multiplayer. See, you can switch items back and forth. There's a little bit of that in Resident Evil 0. Who am I kidding? There's a lot of that in there, but this functions a little bit better. The players, the AI control characters actually are a lot smarter than the ones in Resident Evil 0. But I'm gonna give it a try. The whole controlling your character with the right stick, to me, in a single player game is kind of weird. Especially makes me curious, like because Resident Evil 0 was originally made for the Nintendo 64. How was all that shit supposed to work on the Nintendo 64 unless they had something completely different planned? Also, Moria, if I'm calling her by the wrong name, I probably sound really stupid beside my already probably lackluster commentary. But hey, there's the other girl you can control as, but she's kind of a mystery right now. I don't think I'm spoiling anything for you since she's probably on the cover of the fucking box. But anyway, yeah. Or the back of the box. Maybe she's not on the cover. But I mean, in episode 1 you control her, so it's not a huge surprise. So basically she just shines her flashlight on shit and she can either pick it up or Claire can, and she can also use her flashlight to stun enemies, and she has a crowbar for melee attacks, but she's afraid to use guns. So if you're playing co-op, you know you always want to play as the person with the gun. I mean, I just can't see having a good time playing as the secondary characters if you're stuck in co-op. But to be honest with you, I rather struggle with the AI and switch back and forth with these type of games than play like co-op or online with other people. But that's just personally me. But overall, I think this is a great game. It was actually fairly cheap. I think it was only like $30 for basically a full-fledged Resident Evil game. It doesn't look as polished as like a numeric entry in the series, and I kind of feel like Resident Evil 2 Remake will probably go around this route versus the action-oriented. It'll probably get that in-between Resident Evil 4 feel, but where it's not completely action oriented, but there's survival horror elements at the same time, but more action than the original Resident Evil 2. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would definitely check this game out. Try to get the physical copy if you can. It'll be worth it. Take my word for it. Take care. Bye.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.